Alright, free lesson. Today I'm going to bring you one of my favorite things to play. If you notice, every week I say this is my favorite because I have a lot of favorite things. And this one is no exception. So this particular beat is called the Fatback. I don't know why it's called the Fatback, but it was popularized and possibly invented by James Brown. The legend or the story goes that James Brown would listen to his washing machine and dryer as a youngster, kind of tumbling around and hear these rhythms, and I guess it just stuck with him, and that's what he wanted to hear. Of course, the drummer would be like Clyde Stubblefield or Jago Sparks would be the actual drummers that came up with this particular beat. It might be older than that, but that's generally who gives it the credit. The song "Popcorn" by I said that strange, but "Popcorn" by James Brown would be a perfect example of the Fatback groove. So here's the signatures of the Fatback. So what it does basically is, and there's a couple of signature things to turn it into the Fatback, even though we can do many variations on that. So traditional beats would have 2 and 4 on the snare drum, 1 and 3 on the bass drum generally. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So what the Fatback does is it keeps the 2 on the snare drum, but what it does is instead of on 4, what we're going to do is we're going to syncopate or slightly move to one of the more unexpected notes, which builds anticipation, which is nice. So we're going to put it on the "and" of 4 is the main kind of goal that you're shooting for. That's the main kind of pulse that you're shooting for. So slowly it would be 1, 2, 3, and 4, and. Quarter notes generally on the cymbal. So you got that not too busy kind of feel. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and. Alright. Now the other signature would be then to also syncopate the bass drum on the second measure, which is one of the other signatures is that the Fatback is a 2-measure pattern generally. You can play the same thing for the second measure and it'll still sound good, but it sounds a little bit more authentic and a little bit nicer if you do a 2-measure pattern. And what you're going to do is the first measure would be 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1. On the second measure, you're going to skip the 1 on the bass drum, which is where we normally would expect it, and we're going to put it on the "and" of 1. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, and 2. We're still going to hit that 2, and then 3, and. Could be whatever. Generally for 4 on the second measure, you can do some sort of fill, like a mini fill for 1 beat. You can open up the hi-hat, but generally that's your time to kind of say your little thing and then get back to the beat. That brings us closure. You could add tons of ghost notes. In fact, you should add tons of ghost notes because it sounds awesome. I'll play it without the ghost notes. I'll play it slow, and then I'll play it fast, just so you can get the idea. I'm playing on the practice kit at the lesson studio. Hopefully you can hear it. And I'm playing on a practice pad also. I'll try to play the hi-hat quietly so you can hear the bass drum and the hi-hat, or the snare drum. So here goes, the Fatback. Here it goes. Now, that was just the basic beat. Obviously, you could do many things with it. I like doing it on the ride cymbal, or maybe the bell of the ride, while you do either hi-hats on like 1/8 notes or quarter notes with it, or maybe some ands if you want to get real kind of cool with it. So that'd be 1, which is pretty cool. Sounds really cool fast. So I'll play it a little bit faster, maybe add a couple ghost notes. So here goes. And so on. So it's like a medium tempo. It sounds good at all tempos. I'll play a little bit faster, and I'll play it over here on the ride cymbal. So here it goes. had the hi-hat on the ends too, and that's the other thing. Your left hand could go back and forth. You could do lots of little ghost notes. Sounds much better on a snare drum than a practice pad. I might have been speeding up a little bit. It's one of those days, but this is a really, really fun beat. What's really cool about the Fatback as a bonus is once you learn how to syncopate that note, let's say you're playing a regular 4/4 beat and you accidentally missed that snare drum on number 4, you could turn that mistake into a happy accident and just really just make it sound like you meant it. So 1. Yeah, totally meant to do that. 3 and 1, 2, 3, 4. So and so on. There I just did a little to set up the syncopation too. So there's literally thousands of things you can do with it. Once again, this is the Fatback. I suggest go listen to Popcorn by James Brown if you want some examples, along with many other James Brown songs. Try to think. Cold Sweat would be another example of a slower Fatback. And I'm sure there's many more, but you can discover those on your own. All right, thanks.